Bring it.
Well, you know, they always say with podcast, I'm learning as we go into season 6, guys, we're season 6, episode 51 now. They always say that you should start off. So I've gotten into, I think like Eric does, when you let people advertise on your show, that you get kickbacks on it. So I've started opening it up for advertising. So with season 6, our first advertisement, paid advertisement, I'm very excited to say, here we go. Tell me what you think.
I get it when no one else does. I make a pretty good knife, but Chip's Shegman knives would be number one if I were not the best. But since I am running for president, I suggest you go to knife-maker.com and get one of Chip's knives. This is big. Chip's a winner. Everyone else, not so much.
Oh, that's great.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
Get ready, y'all. We about to Bobby Boucher you. Bam!
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast, featuring Odysseer Special Sauce Pinto.
I was a mean kid.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Don the Train Watson.
I can pay off all my credit cards and beef jerky credit line at Bucket.
Joey the Riot Terrier.
Cochon de lait will make you smack your lips and anyone getting too close to your plate.
Mark Vasallo.
There would be a lot of places I would launch myself to.
Chip Shegman Carlisle.
Woo! And featuring David Moore, Jason Fry, and Josh Moran.
And now broadcasting alive, it's the Knives Templars. Coming to you live from Porkhouse Studios located in Hartselle, Alabama, and other U.S. locations. This is the Knives Templars podcast. We are on air, on demand, and heard worldwide in all of your favorite apps and at knivestemplars.com.
My goodness, man, I tell you what, this whole paid advertiser thing, I think I'm going to like it. Hey, go out to that website and buy you some knives today. Hey, got something exciting. Hey, I'm Chip Carlisle with the Knives Templars, and I got an exciting cast of characters with me tonight. I've got Don the Train Watson, Eric Rivers, Jason Fry, Odysseer Pinto, and Mark Vasallo. We've got someone special with us tonight because, as I mentioned, Season 6, Episode 51, we've got our new segment that we're going to be kicking off, and that is called the Innovator Spotlight. And we couldn't think of a better one to do than to kick off a true innovator in the metal forming world. And we have Frankie with 2 Basterds with us tonight. And you guys have heard Eric talk about 2 Basterds for on and on and on, that now Joey's addicted. He's getting hammers, and I'm feeling the itches. I'm sure many of you are as well. So welcome to the show tonight, guys. We are tickled to have you here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Everybody. Enjoy it.
Yeah, this is where you tell me how excited you are. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uppercase woohoo.
Okay. All right. That's a little better. Hey, guys, as we get started, I want to welcome you to the best podcast out there. I don't care what they say. We are the best assembled group of flea bags this side of the world, and we enjoy talking knives. I see old Mark Vasallo's got his new Knives Templars embroidered shirt on tonight. We're having great tournament shirts made for I don't know if the other guys are going to drop the bucks, but having tournament shirts made for Blade Show, and I've even getting parody presidential endorsements now. I mean, look where we've come in 2 years, and if I'm not mistaken, we're approaching our 2-year birthday, are we not?
Yeah.
It's getting close, that's for sure.
Well, with that being said, we are glad that you are all with us. We certainly are. So, hey, let's kick it off like we usually do. Odysseer, what's going on in Laurel, Maryland?
Not much. Just chilling and waiting for the show to start. Good to be here, though.
Well, we're glad you're here. That's all you got for me?
That's all I got for you.
You
right
must
now.
be worn out from all that steel you've been pounding together.
Oh yeah, it's something. If you're having problems sleeping, go pound some steel.
Otis is a human welding machine these days. We all watched Eric do it before we realized what it was, and now Otis jumped into it. Jason Fry's always done it, and a couple others with the show. But Otis, you gave me some great advice. I've ordered some steel, and my steel is only 1 inch wide. So I will not be doing the beat the 3 inch wide steel challenge.
That's Eric's fault right there.
Yeah.
He neglected to tell me, go for an inch wide. Don't do the 2 inch wide. Go for the 1, right?
Yeah. Well, Eric's got that one Popeye arm. And while he looks weird walking down the street, he's a hero on his live broadcast when he's out there making. Look at that arm he's showing us his guns. Let's see the other gun.
I thought you used both hands.
My goodness! No, they're not equal. You've got one teeny arm and one big arm, but the way you stand on
it's not fair because I've been forging for the last 2 hours.
He's here to pump himself. He's pumped himself up.
Yeah. Hey, his swole, huh?
So while I'm at it, look who's coming in! It's a party. It's a party. How did you find your way into this?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah, you.
You messaged me.
No, not me. Yeah. I wouldn't do that. I thought I was insulting you. I accidentally sent you the. I was insulting you, and I accidentally sent you the code to get in here.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I'm talking about.
Surprise, guys. I brought in tonight. I am so excited. The look on your eyes right now. I mean, you guys look like Elvis just walked in the room.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
I'm excited about this because talking about the stuff for what he's thinking about doing for Blade Show Atlanta, that'd be good to talk about too.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that makes me kind of the innovator spotlight of podcasters. Is this not the trifecta night or what? You've got me, the podcasting innovator that can't make a decent knife. You've got two bastards, Frankie, who's making some of the best hammers out there, and you've got KHDaily from what's that podcast you got? Knife Talk or something like? No. Knife Perspective. Well,
We're not that Fleabag podcast.
Well, we're not. We are the Fleabag podcast. But I tell you, you've hosted and you've been on Knife Talk before, right?
No, I haven't been on Knife Talk.
What was it that Fader was complaining about? So maybe he just says you get whiny when you talk about this show or something like that. I don't know.
Well, he
insults you quite often.
They were gonna, it was when Laren said I was his favorite podcaster, and they were gonna.
That's right.
They
got all gummed up.
They were gonna miss a week, and then they said Kyle should host it, and then I tried to get in contact with them, and nobody got back to me, and so didn't happen.
Well, that's it. And here's why I said he got all gummed up. And if you're from the North Carolina mountains, gummed up means verklempt, got a hair in your rear end, bug up you need some raid to kill that thing. So, he got all worked up when he found out that you were his favorite. But Kyle, you're just like the great Donald Trumpster said that I was the second best knife maker in the world to him being the first. You were the second greatest podcaster out there.
Okay.
And I mean that sincerely from my heart.
Thanks.
The second greatest podcast.
And you're
behind Dan? And you're behind Dan? Or who's it behind?
Well, I'll just lump them both into the same show. So we've got a perfect show tonight, which ought to get about 6,000 listens when this gets out. The great KHDaily, the great Frankie. I don't want to call you Bastard, Frankie. Please tell me your last name.
Last name is Machado. Frank Machado.
Machado.
That's it.
Frankie Machado. Because and with a name like
he
that,
doesn't care.
Well, I know, but with a name like that, you don't really call him that Bastard Frankie because he might see you at Blade Show and say, "Here's your bastard."
That's how the name started.
Yes. Gotcha. And it's kind of like Shegman Niver. Nobody could spell Machado Hammer, so
there you go.
You know, Machado means axe.
Yes, it's
in Portuguese.
Portuguese to Cuba, and in Portugal, it's like axe or machete, towards that effect.
Yep.
Well, Machado in Alabama is something that follows you around when the sun's out.
That's fair, yeah.
Nice.
True.
Hey, I'm excited about this episode because I've got, if you look at any of my videos, I've got 3 links in there. I've got the link, of course, for the podcast, and then I have Frank's link, and I have Kyle's link on all the descriptions for all the videos that get released.
Thank you.
Because I get so many people that ask me about the sanding sticks and the hammers and all that stuff.
Well, when are you gonna? Yeah, that's nice. You know,
you want me to put the Shegman knives in here?
Well, you don't have to because you sell knives, but I make the world's greatest straightening hammer.
Well, I also send that to Kyle.
That's what I'm figuring. Kyle, were you the first one to make the straightening hammer in America? Because I know there's an Australian dude that makes kind of a cool looking one.
No, I didn't invent the straightening hammer idea. There were some people that
just perfected it.
I did it a little bit differently, but I got there's a guy, Dan. Why can't I remember his last name right now?
Because you're with the second greatest podcast out there.
But yeah, there was another knife maker that he did another ball bearing, and that was a really good idea. And I asked him if I could make them, and he said he didn't want to make them. So it's been a pretty good income stream. When I got started making the hammer, when I had about $1,200 worth of Magna Cut that was all warped, and I couldn't make it useful for kitchen knives. So then I was thinking I was going to have to re-temper them down and then reheat treat them. And then I was talking with Laren Thomas, and he pointed me to it was a guy, HS3, I believe was his name on Blade Forums, and he was talking about using the carbide chisel. And then Murray Carter also makes and sells a chisel type hammer. So instead of a ball, he has a chisel type that he brazes in the front of the hammer. That gives you a little bit more directional control, but it leaves a stronger stress concentration with the 90-degree indent, where the ball is a lot more distributed.
Well, I'll tell you. So, Frankie, here's what I was saying when I was saying earlier, this is an opportunity to promote your visionary status. You see what Kyle just did? He just took over my show. That's exactly what I want you to do as well, because I know it is, because I'm just a mumbler that fills in between the important stuff. So that's exactly what I wanted you to do. So yes, y'all, Kyle Daly was my surprise to you tonight. You're welcome. Thank you very much. And he's always welcome. Frank, you're welcome too anytime. So as I go around here, I think I said, how's Otis here tonight? Otis here had 12 chicken legs tonight, and what'd you eat tonight?
No, I had a half a chicken tonight. Barbecue.
Just half a chicken, just one leg, and
half.
The wing.
When I say half, I mean half.
Yeah, are you a bottom guy or a top guy?
No, I mean half.
Oh, which half?
Split in half, man.
Left half or right? Left or right, Twix? Left or right chicken?
Left
chicken. Okay, if we ever go to a barbecue, I'm going to make sure you get the left side of the chicken.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if we ever order at Blade Show, I'll be like, he wants half chicken, but make sure it's the left side, please.
Yes.
Just the left.
Just the left.
I am constantly surprised how many people don't know what white and dark meat is with chicken. Like, it
really?
totally blows my mind.
And I didn't learn to love dark meat in probably till the last 5 or 6 years. And
it's awesome.
I go after, and I work for a poultry company. So cooking up those chicken thighs and barbecuing those and smoking those chicken thighs and man, it's just delicious. So yeah, I was missing out all those years, but chicken. Keep my day job going strong. It's good company too.
Hey, that's why I eat the chicken, because I want to make sure that you never lose your job.
Well, I can't afford the podcast. I pay for the podcast. Bill's coming up next month. So eat more chicken, guys, so I can afford it. Don, Jesus did pay all. I love your hat tonight, man. And with that being said, you had, I guessed it last night at time. So you had bean burritos with a little Spanish rice and artichokes.
You was close. Steak, ribeye.
Again, steak ribeye. Again, though.
And drinking cacao.
So close.
See, Don's like the nicest guy in the world. He just doesn't matter how bad you are. He lifts you back up. It's not like you're totally wrong. He says, "Well, look how close you got."
Real close, man. Real close.
They got real close. Eric, you were forging chicken because you were showing it to us. You were quite proud. So we ought to have a cooking segment on this show. And
you made a chicken
but it's hard to have an audio chicken segment, But go ahead and do your best. Paint that picture for our ears right now.
So what I did was I already had the forge going because I've been forging for a little while, trying to prep for tomorrow's live stream. And I was like, you know what? It's just me and the wife tonight. Kids are at the grandparents. I'm gonna grill some chicken for me and her. We're gonna make some sandwiches. So I did grilled chicken, hearts of romaine lettuce. Got that nice and sliced up. Some we did that. Some Swiss cheese. Some ciabatta buns. I toasted the ciabatta buns, and then I sliced the chicken nice and long ways, so that it sat on the bread really well. And we did some hot honey barbecue sauce.
Oh, I thought you were going another direction with this conversation.
The kids are out of town.
Some hot, how it goes.
I'm like, the kids are out of town. What in the heck are you even doing on a podcast tonight? Supposed to be chasing each other around the shop,
right? And so I figured, I wanted to cook before we did this, so went ahead and made sure she had something really good to eat. I made some homemade hot sauce last night, so just some chips and hot sauce. I love making hot sauce. It's one of my favorite things to make.
You could be making some hot sauce right now if you weren't on the podcast with that hot honey.
I will be doing that.
It's still early, yeah.
I guess it is. I go to bed at 9 o'clock. So what do I know? What do I know?
Make sure you got that water-based gun lube.
Oh, there you go.
That's right. Yeah.
Ooh, look who's listening.
You can tell who's been listening.
That was funny though, wasn't it, Kyle?
Yeah.
Did you go to Walmart and check it out, see if they really had it there?
No.
Just took my word for it. I didn't mean you were going down to get a case. I just meant that.
No.
So,
No.
Jason Fry, his wife taught dancing lessons last night.
Yeah, no, that was Eric's wife, wasn't it? That was teaching dancing lessons.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Eric's wife was teaching.
My wife taught geometry
with you,
today.
Jason?
That's about it. I had sick kids all week. Nothing. Oh, my wife may have accidentally rolled her eyes when I told her it was podcasting night. That's what you're thinking of.
That's what it was.
I know she didn't really mean it though. She's a nice lady. But again, I took Eric's advice and cooked some dinner before I came in here, right? So she's not quite as grumpy.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Did you tell her? Does she like your knife making? Side gig.
She
hobby
tolerates it because it funds a lot of her hobbies, like spending all of my money.
Well, did you? Did you explain to her how your career's really kicked off since the launch of the Knives Templars and your involvement?
I tried, but it kind of just didn't really take.
That's good not to lie to your wife anyway.
Well, see, I didn't lie to you either. No, but yeah, I've been just been doing what we do, drinking a glass of sweet tea, and yeah, good times.
My good buddy Glenn, who's ever gone to Blade Show and had somebody walk up to you and go, "You're Chip with the Knives Templars. I've got some blueberry jam for you." Who else has that happened to?
No one's called me Chip.
Who else has had somebody named Glenn walk up to you and give you blueberry jam?
I delivered a jar of apricot jam one time at Blade Show to a friend of mine.
Well, that's fine. Kyle's raising his hand because our dear friend Glenn C., I won't use his last name on the air, makes beautiful knives, He was the nicest guy and brought us both separately because I could see Kyle looked a little upset when he saw I got some too as a competing podcaster.
Yeah.
But we both got. Did you eat yours, Kyle?
Yeah. My wife and the boys attacked it faster than I could, but I got a little bit of it.
Oh, it was delicious. Glenn, if you're listening to the show, let us know because we loved your, and that's when I knew my celebrity had kicked in.
Yeah. Glenn also helped with the filework class. The projector didn't get delivered. It wasn't in the room when it was supposed to be. So we had to chase that down, find it. And then I was getting set up and Glenn got the projector all set up. So thanks, Glenn.
Yeah. Well, many of you guys are getting all revved up for Blade Show again, which we'll talk about a little bit on the show here, but, Fry, what'd you eat for dinner?
I had some a sausage sandwich. So it's a long-standing family tradition of mine to make venison sausage, and it was pretty solid.
So you ate deer bully sticks, is what you're
Something
saying?
Like that.
Yeah, you know what a bully stick is?
Knowing you and your weird mountain man, Alabama hillbilly references.
Yeah. Well, you can look it up online. What
Should
are bully sticks?
Should I Google that on my work computer?
I don't think you'll get in trouble by any means because you can buy bully sticks at Walmart. Not Walmart.com where they sell some weird stuff, but you can buy it actually at the stores. My wife picks up bully sticks all the time. Kyle, so you're in Chicago. You had a Chicago beef sandwich. You had a Chicago beef sandwich tonight with a glass of red wine.
Wrong on both accounts.
You had.
I wish I had an Italian beef.
You had a Red Baron's pizza and a Fanta.
Close again. Had some chicken tamales that my wife works at a predominantly Hispanic elementary school, and one of the teachers makes her and her grandmother every so often make a big batch of tamales, and they sell them there. So they were pretty delicious.
You know, your
that sounds like something that I would be eating.
You're very fortunate there because when I was a soccer coach, I love soccer, football, and I coached for many years. My sons both played in college. One played the for the university. The other one played in the intramural league team, traveling team. And I like to say that because I'm so proud of them. But the point is that large Hispanic community in my town. And those mothers would reward me with successful games, and they enjoyed practice and this, that, and the other. And I would bring home dinner, and it was I traveled a lot in Mexico 20 years ago, and it was the best Hispanic food. Oh, it was so delicious. And then all of our kids have grown up and moved on. I don't get that, but fortunately, I work in the poultry industry, and we have a large Hispanic population in there. So when we have dinners where people just kind of bring in everything, man. Oh man.
I like my tamales kind of like I like my machine guns from a little old lady out of the back of a car with no license or anything. Right.
There you go.
Well,
yeah. And it's out the back of a van.
Yeah. Nobody needs a permit for that.
They're in a cooler.
Since you brought up the poultry industry again, do you want to hear my son's favorite chicken joke?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why are chickens so funny?
Well, working in the industry, I know that. So you let the other guys guess.
Because.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah. VMAX, you didn't have any parades to put up with tonight. Have you had any king cake in the last week or two?
So interesting. You said both of those things, right? And so there is a parade going on. I did take tonight off. My guys are all out, hitting the streets and getting that all cleaned up and taken off. And then really the hardest starts Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, right? Is the big days. So I'll be working through that, and then they have another one after Mardi Gras next weekend. So I pretty much have two more weekends of parade fun down here. And
have you bit into the little plastic king in the cake? That's where I'm
headed.
And
for dessert today, I had some king cake. I did not get the king or the baby or whatever they want to call it. But yeah, I had had a piece of that. And so,
see, I'm a big lover of what is the cake? Nobody likes at Christmas time.
Fruitcake.
Fruitcake. I love good fruitcakes, and I'll eat dried up, Walmart fruitcakes too. But I love a good, well prepared fruitcake. Well, the ones you get at Walmart that are already dried up, 3 seasons ago, you just dip them in some, coffee while you're eating them. But I love a good fruitcake. So, what is it about king cake that's so delicious?
I'm not a huge connoisseur fan. I mean, it's just like cinnamon. Cake with icing on top. So
also there's cinnamon and icing. Is it kind of a white cake that's been colored, or I see there many colors?
It's kind of a mix. I think you have different flavors, and a lot of them will have like a filling. So you can have like a custard filling or a jelly filling or just plain cinnamon, in there. So there's a wide variety. They do have a king cake cook-off down here in Mobile. And so
they have king cakes here in Hartselle, Alabama, at the Kroger and at the Walmart right now, and they're all boxed up like they were made 6 months ago. And I'm sure they were not, but I just can't bring myself to do that. There's another thing that they sell there about this time of the year on Fat Tuesday, leading up to it. They sell punchkis, and if you're a Polak, you know what a punchki is. And Kyle, can you tell them what a punchki is?
It's like a little
5,000 calorie, and then you fill in the rest.
Turnover different fruits and stuff is what I usually had in the center of them.
Yeah, and they're round like a big filled donut, and they're huge, and they're just full of, whether it's fruit or creams or different things. And I can't bring myself to buying punchkis from Kroger in Hartselle, Alabama either, because we used to line up around the block to get them in Detroit.
Yeah. A little known fact about Chicago is there are more Polish people that live in Chicago than in Warsaw, Poland.
Wow.
Oh, really? Detroit has a Polish town, and I used to live right on the side of it. And the Polish American Cultural Center was this big Coliseum-looking place right there next to it. I'm sure it's not big as what you're saying, because Detroit has the largest Muslim community, is what they're known for, and delicious food coming out of that community. I know everything about what kind of food. Greektown was good and so on. But come on, Kyle, you're riding this train with me. You love food too. I know all of us do. But with that being said, being around a Polish community is divine when it comes to eating. VMAX, you're looking forward to these parades coming to an end, or are you still all wrapped up in it?
It's enjoyable just to be out there with everybody, and it's a little bit tough, right? Because I work my normal, day job just like everybody else, and then I get off at 5, and then I go back in at 5, and we work till like midnight or whenever the city's cleaned up, and then you start over again the next day. So
yeah. Don't you put on that big feathered hairdress and your thong and go out there and dance in Carnival like the other guys and girls do?
Everybody does that, doesn't everybody?
After work.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay. Yeah, good.
And like the yard of alcohol, don't they have like
Most
those
definitely.
like 3-foot long cups?
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can go out in a G-string, but I can't drink, so I'm on city time.
I understand. Does the G-string have a city emblem on it?
Yeah, it's got to have the Mobile iconic M.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I was just wondering if we could get a Knives Templars crotch embroidery, on your.
Yeah, I can have Shannon. She can embroider some up.
Good deal. Frankie, are you still with us after hearing all this weird talk?
Oh, yeah. My wife just brought me a cup of coffee, so all is right with the world.
He's like, man, I'm in Texas, and those other 2 guys on this show from Texas are all right, but these other guys are all sound a little freaky to me. A little freaky.
No, we're talking about feathered headdresses and food, man. I'm all in.
So, Frankie, let me see. You're in Texas tonight, so you had brisket, some coleslaw. Probably got a couple beef ribs just so they were there, and had some fried tater wedges.
Actually, no. Tonight was not a big coleslaw fan. So today and tonight were both leftover fried chicken from yesterday, because there's not a whole lot better in Texas than homemade fried chicken leftover cold out of the fridge.
Yeah,
So that's what we've been doing now.
That was my fifth.
Go ahead.
That was my fifth guess. That was going to be my fifth guess.
Well, then you were 100% of it right on your fifth try.
Well, if you just let me get there, come on, you should have said, no, try again.
There you go.
So, hey, guys, listen at us. We've gone around, and just so you know, I just had Aunt Lois's chicken tonight, and Aunt Lois is in her late 80s, early 90s, and my wife has a card that says Aunt Lois's chicken. So we had Aunt Lois's chicken, some baked macaroni and cheese, some broccoli, steamed broccoli, and my wife made a loaf of fresh bread, and it was quite delicious. Had that with a glass of tea.
Perfect.
Glass of tea. And speaking of tea, I want you guys to go out and visit TR Maker. You can get them at tr-maker.com. And since 1980, my very, very, very good friend, Yücel, has offered high quality and service from Istanbul, Turkey. As a matter of fact, when I told you on several shows, I ordered something midweek, and it was at my house on Monday. It went through customs while it was on the airplane in the air. And the reason I know that is because it sent me an alert that says it's going through customs in the air. And with that being said, you need to check out their line of knife making tools to make your job easier and more precise. You can't do without their products once you discover them. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling that my good friend, President Trump, would probably say second to him, TR Maker is the best tool maker of the tools he makes out there. Go check him out at tr-maker.com. And, I'm talking about Yücel, and he's a visionary. And as I talk to you guys about the innovator spotlight we're jumping in tonight, I've got two great innovators here. So I'm going to jump off and start. And Kyle, I don't want you to sit back and be quiet, man. You are a special guest host. We are so glad that you're here. I'm the Joe Biden, you're my Vladimir Putin. We're just two guys on two separate items.
All right.
I don't know.
I think maybe.
What?
Wow.
What did I say? Wow. I forget. Jill. What? Huh? What? I gotta go pee pee. So anyway, somebody help me find my way off this stage. So Frankie, I'm going to kick it off like this. I'm learning to forge. I'm about 6 knives into forging knives. Otis here says they're never going to be as good as his, but he's giving me some thumbs up. Eric's rooting me on because it keeps his numbers up on his YouTube, and Jason just says, So with that being said, though, I'm enjoying the heck out. You never show your knives to Jason Fry at Blade Show. You'll walk away crying. He's a critiques. He says, do you want me to tell you, or do you want, it was kind of like, did y'all listen to the Vladimir Putin interview that Tucker did? Anybody spent 2 hours doing that?
Oh, yeah,
I did too, and I enjoyed it. And I don't want to sit and talk about the content of it right now. I think that's for individuals to decide. But I loved hearing that. And when Vladimir said to Tucker Carlson, "Do you want what was it? He said, do you want a history lesson or have a show, or do you want to have a discussion or just have a show?
A talk show or an interview, I think was
a talk show and interview." And then he proceeded to let him have it. That's kind of like Jason Fry saying, do you want me to critique your knife or just tell you have a nice one? That's what I was getting at. And it's very good to hear what Jason has to say. So if being where I am, is somebody fighting in the background? Who's that fighting back there?
It's not my kids. That's pretty common, but it's not today.
I think Eric's wife found him, and she's dragging him out of the room. So Frankie, with that being said, I can go to Harbor Freight and I can go buy me a 3-pound sledge, and I can sit and grind a straight peen, a cross peen, and that's where I'm at right now. And with that, I'm not saying that everybody should do that. But you and I were talking a little bit pre-show, and you said, "Hey, that's a good question." So that's why I'm respectfully bringing it up, because you bring something really cool to the table. I don't know what you're going to say, but I know I'm going to love what I'm getting ready to hear. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Two Basterds Forge, Mr. Frankie Machado. Did I say that right? Machado?
Frank Machado. Good enough.
Shadow. Okay, gotcha. Go ahead, Frank.
That'll work.
Key?
Well, I'm the
I forgot the E on the end. I had to throw it in there. Pardon the pause. It was like Frank E.
No, that's okay. Frankie. It doesn't matter to me. I'll take either. So the basic, like you mentioned Kelly Crean earlier in the pre-show, and yeah, greatest mentor ever. And the fact of the matter is, you want to learn to forge anything, you need three things: something hard to hit with, something hard to hit on, and something that makes hot fire. So you talk about, you could go to Harbor Freight, spend $10, reface it, and sand the handle. And is it going to work? Absolutely. And it may work for 10 years. It's not going to feel real balanced. It's not going to feel real natural, but ultimately it'll work. I mean, my first hammer I ever used was something I bought at a flea market for $2. It was a 2-pound straight peen Warwood. And I loved it because, Warwood was the, go ahead and shut that. Warwood was the coolest name of a hammer I ever heard of. So, I wasn't familiar with the company, but I thought it'd be a great, addition to my first hammer collection, my first restoration. And with that and a 4-pound, probably Chinese piece of junk that I restored, forged out a chisel, a punch, a drift, and a spring fuller, and forged my first hammer with it. So what makes my hammer better than that Harbor Freight hammer? It's gonna come down to, oh my gosh, what feels more natural, what's gonna move steel better, what's gonna last longer. And like you said, you could grind it into a crossbeam. Is it gonna work? Yes, but I could go to Academy Sports and buy me a Gerber sheath knife that ultimately is going to cut. It will serve its purpose. It will cut. It'll slice things open. It'll gut a deer. It'll do whatever I need it to. But is it going to have that craftsmanship, that feel of a custom-made tool? And the fact is, no, not in any way out there.
So immediately I can go ahead and say, I can relate that to the knives even that I make. I can relate that to buying a set of golf clubs. I can relate that to buying custom-made bass fishing rods and fly fishing rods, versus going and buying something at a sporting goods store and getting a good deal on it. My set of golf clubs when I played golf back in '96 were $2,500 just for the clubs themselves, versus going and buying a set of I don't know what golf clubs. Yeah, I conquered that sport and gave that up, 20 years ago. But you know what that means, don't you? But it means I look good when I got there, and I look good at the turn. And when I left, everything else in between was my story. But with regards to golf, I had a set of pings that I used, and I knew the difference in that good set of clubs and just how much better my game got from having good equipment versus using a set of Wilson clubs that I got at a Target or a Walmart or something back then. It was night and day. It didn't make me a great golfer, but because a lot of that comes with, interpersonal skill. But I definitely knew I was swinging something totally different. Is that what you're kind of getting at there?
Absolutely. Yeah, nothing out of the big box store, and I've swung all kinds of hammers. Nothing out of the big box store is going to feel as good, or even feel like it moves steel as good as something you've had made for you or made yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're helping support somebody else local that's trying to help support and feed their family.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the knife I have on right now is a neck knife that I got from Elon Green. The pocket knife in my pocket that's the one I use. That's my pry bar. That's my $30, Gerber little, disposable knife. But, all the important tools are good tools. And if that's a hammer, if that's an anvil, if it's the top tools, the fullers or the swages, My hot cuts, all those are quality tools because that helps me get my job done better. I mean, I was using a 3-burner Farrier Deluxe Forge way back when I started, and it got the job done. We were able to get a bunch of hammers out the door. But let me tell you, the game changer was going to a couple of Clark Taplin's ribbon burner forges, you know, and then getting into one of his 25-ton presses. You know, all of a sudden now we entered the big leagues. You know, we did our first 850 hammers on a 2x72 Grizzly. You know, one and done. I mean, it's you can either take the platen off or leave the platen on. You had slack in the middle, fixed wheel at the bottom, fixed wheel at the top. You couldn't do much with it. Now we've upgraded. We got a good 2x72 with about every attachment except a surface grinder because that's the only thing we don't need. So it's been a game changer. You know, once you start getting into good tools, it is a game changer.
Well, I want to stop you right there because I need to do a couple things here, and just to make sure, you know, we're talking about hitting steel and making good changes. If you go to Redeem Steel, and there you can find them at redeemsteel.com. They're made up of craftspeople of all sorts, blacksmiths, bladesmiths, metalworkers, woodworkers, leather workers, and they use their talents to build homes for the homeless, give water to the thirsty, feed the hungry, share the good news of Jesus Christ, and so much more all over the world. Redeem Steel is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that uses the work of their hands and words of their lips to make lasting impacts on those that they serve. And whether it's people somewhere else in the world, or even they do a lot of work right in their own community, they're going to the people that need something in their lives, whether it's hope, faith, the ability to take care of themselves financially, and they're turning lives around. So check out redeemsteel.com. And I just want to throw in a quick Templars tip. And I'm going to do the one this week. And it says how to get the files on your sidebar for a Macintosh computer. All you need to do that is add the file to the sidebar. You press and hold the command key. Then you drag that file to the favorite section. If you don't see it in the favorite sections, choose Finder, then Settings and Sidebar, then select at least one item in the favorite section and pull it over, and you'll be back, and you won't be freaking out in the middle of your your podcast where all of your files went. Problem solved. And that's a great Knives Templars tip of the week. Ciao. I got that problem solved that we were talking about prior to the show there, guys. So Frankie, take us back, because you know, the one thing that I keyed in on is because Odysseer will appreciate this as I'm closing down folders now that I've fixed everything on my computer, is that Odysseer would say, I don't like beating that wide steel. I'm going to get it down and forge it together at an inch wide and then beat it down. But also I see Odysseer do beautiful work these days. He's turning in museum. Well, I'm going to call them museum quality pieces, because I just think that they would fit. Somebody tell me I'm wrong, and you know, fine, I won't argue with you, but I think he's that good. I see Eric over a 2-hour video cast turn a piece of the middle section of a piece of leaf spring, the thickest part, off of some big giant vehicle's leaf spring that's what, a half inch or 3/4 of an inch in the middle there.
5/8.
Yeah, and it's 3 or 4 inches wide. And over the course of 2 hours, he turns that into a knife. And I've sat there and beat on little pieces of steel for a long time with a flat hammer, and I know that, you know, if you don't have the right tool, you're not doing it. I'll tell you what, Eric, give us an example on what Frankie has provided to you in the way of his tools to be able to move that steel where it's more, you know, it's heat, temperature, you know, temperature and the tool, and that, is it making it more malleable? Are you feeling that steel move? Can you move it easier in the right places you want to go to, versus having some of your older hammers, which were, you know, store bought or web bought or whatever outside of a custom maker like Frankie here?
So the cool thing about having a lot of different types of hammers is you have a lot of hammers that are purpose driven. They're for achieving a specific task. Whether you're trying to draw still out, whether you're trying to do finger choils or different parts of things that you want to do. One of the big things that I wanted was the straight peen that I got from him, because I wanted to forge a lot of integral bolster knots, and I wanted to get into that, and I'd already forged a couple, but whenever you have something that's built for a certain thing, it makes it a lot easier. And one of the things that I wanted was I wanted a cross peen that had kind of a more broad face to it. I've got cross peen, straight peens. I've got a couple of those, but they have very narrow tips. And whenever you hit with them, it's pretty good to do some stretching and stuff like that, but it puts a really narrow line on it. It doesn't smooth anything or create good transitions. And I really liked his. He had brought a couple of his hammers with him, and I was looking at it and I was going, man, this is the thing that I need to be able to do this. And I ordered it and told him what I wanted, and he made it better than I could have thought it was going to be. I absolutely love the way that hammer
Is this that first 5-pound hammer?
No, so this is the
straight peen.
The straight
peen. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. And I've got hammers from several different makers. I do a lot of different things with, and I'm about to have a few more hammers from Frank. And I'm really excited about those. And it's one of those things where I wanted specific hammers to be able to do specific things, and you can only do so much with a rounding hammer. Now you'll see some people that'll take and their primary hammer is a cross peen. You'll see a lot of bladesmiths and blacksmiths that the hammer that you see in their video is a cross peen hammer that they're doing almost everything with. It's kind of funny seeing a lot of people do that, but you'll see some blacksmith shops, and man, they've got 50 hammers on the wall. And some people look at that and go, why do you need that many hammers? Some people are hammer collectors, but having the specific hammer to do the task that you need is awesome. Whenever you get a press, you don't get a press and just get one set of dies. You get a whole bunch of different dies to do a whole bunch of different things. You get hardy tools to do a bunch of different things. And it's the same thing with your hammers. I use everything from a little bitty auto body hammer that I
You're awful proud of that hammer. Whenever you do your live broadcast and you go, oh, this is a hammer I've had for 17 years and I'm going to dance with it and show you guys. You'll never have one like this. Go get your own. But this is my little planishing hammer. Watch me tappy, tappy, tippy, tappy too. You realize you do that every time.
Yes, I do, because there's a lot of people that don't understand that you can use a lot of different tools, but I've done metalworking with that hammer for 26 years.
Do you have a tippy tappy hammer, Jason?
I do. I have a little 2-ounce Wizard brand, and it's kind of like Frank's story. I said, this hammer makes me a wizard. It just sounded cool, and I use that all the time. It lives on my bench. I use it for painting pins.
Do you put on a tutu like Eric and dance with it?
No,
while
I
you're
put on an
planishing?
actual wizard hat, like the tall cone-shaped one with my wizard hammer. Yeah.
I know when he turns off the cameras and he's using that hammer, he's got on a tutu because he just dances with it. He loves that hammer.
I do. And, it's one of those things that people need to understand, that there's a bunch of different hammers for different things. Can you planish with a 5-pound rounding hammer? Sure.
No.
Would I suggest it? No.
Not if you love your elbows.
And yeah, and it's just there's certain times when you're going to use different things, and you got to get crafty. But that was my first thing I ever used to do any type of metalworking or anything like that. And I had a hammer and dolly set from Auto Body in high school, and
like a dressy Bessie or Annabelle, or what was the dolly you were?
So that was my first hammer and anvil.
No,
A dolly is just a little handheld anvil.
Yep. Oh.
And you use that to work sheet metal, because my auto body teacher was a big fan of if you don't have to use Bondo, don't use Bondo.
That's right.
So we metal worked everything to where it was almost done, and then we would just use a gel coat or something like that to finish it out. So we spent a lot of time using hammers, a bunch of different types of hammers, and those little dollies, and straightening panels and getting everything in line.
Yeah. I remember we were telling Jason Fry, I think I was the one recommended to use Bondo, where he was having a little split on one of his forge welds there one time. We were giving you all kinds of stupid ideas. I think mine might have been Bondo. Or
JB Weld.
JB Weld. Somebody else.
Inclusion in your Damascus billet. Yeah, just JB welded. It's all good.
JB welded.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, don't start selling JB Buddy. Okay. JB Weld's already got the market.
You can do that one.
All right.
Yeah, wait till y'all see the hammer that I am getting from Frank.
Well,
I've got a big old boy coming from him.
Well, Frank, tell us now. Make sure I haven't missed anything here. Now, are you a knife maker? How did you tell us about the whole transition into I want to make hammers, or are you doing other things?
About 99% of what we make is hammers. Making and restoring hammers. I'll bring in. I love importing the European, Austrian, German, UK hammers and top tools, because I do a lot of blacksmith work. Yes, I have a lot of blacksmith customers. Go to a lot of blacksmith events, dedicated blacksmiths, where you get a lot of crossover. You have knife makers and blacksmiths there, but mostly blacksmiths.
Right.
But I started off taking classes under Kelly Crean. We talked about earlier. I mean, he's just, the guy could move old manganese, with a 2-pound hammer with a flick of a wrist, and it starts moving before the hammer gets there. You want to talk wizard?
He's even got.
So I started taking class. Yeah. Exactly, and probably the costume, since he does a lot of that stuff. So I started taking classes from him, and during the intermediate class, at that point I'd already forged out a hammer, and he said, what, for your shoulder, your shoulder and elbow, you ought to do a diagonal peen. So I started looking for him, and I couldn't find anybody that would make me one, except, a great guy, Finnan Liam Christie in Ireland, would make one, but it was $200 and $70 in shipping. It would take 6 months.
So are you buddies with him?
Online community buddies. That's about it. I wouldn't say buddies. But, so we
everybody knows I've got I like Trolsky and Mr. Christie. I love to watch his work too, but go right ahead. Yes.
No. I mean, it's, just great guys, great stuff to work. I mean, when they're doing their little 5-minute videos, how-to videos, you just sit there and just take notes. It doesn't matter how much you think they're going to teach you something. So I was looking for this, and I went to Kelly, and I said, Kelly, I'm looking for a dual diagonal. That way I can use it as a cross peen or straight peen and still keep my elbow to my side, kind of save that shoulder. And he said, make one. I said, Kelly, I'm not a hammer maker. He goes, you've made a hammer, make one. So we came up with a couple of prototypes, a 2-ish pounder and a 3-ish pounder. And he torture tested them with all 3 classes. We were having a North Texas Blacksmith Association meeting up at the college that day. There were 3 sets of classes there, so probably 25, 30 people sitting there watching him just torture test these 2 hammers. And when he was done, he said, these are perfect. Make them and sell them. You got a demo coming up in a couple of months. It's at the old blacksmith shop in Grapevine. You need, 10 2-pound, 10 3-pound, 10 4-pound. I do about 30 of the restored hammers, because at that point I'd probably restored 30, 40 hammers for different people. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, dude, you just started a business and you don't know it. So we went there, sold out. what's his name? Mark Asbury, the master blacksmith. Mark Asbury was doing the demo, and he was using it to forge out hinge plates, and not because a dual diagonal pin is the right tool for the job, but he forged out the entire hinge plate from square stock using nothing but a 3-pound dual diagonal pin hammer. The absolute wrong tool for the job. But if you're that good, you can pick up a rock and do it. Yeah. So he did that and called it his magic hammer to the 100 people that had paid for it, and we sold out. I mean, my wife, Nita, my other half of this business, the other bastard involved, she said she grabbed 1 4-pound dual diagonal pin hammer and said, okay, we're packed up, we're ready to go. And we had taken 60 hand hammers, 8 or 10 striking sledges, some anvil hold down tools, some twisting wrenches. We sold out everything and had an invite to the next demo, which was at Steep Hollow Forge back when they used to do blacksmith shows every year. And we went there, ran into got approached by Cowboy Saminsky and Elena. And he said, look, we're thinking about doing our first family's, blacksmith or bladesmith show demo in the backyard of the blacksmith shop in Belleville. We'd love you to be the vendor out there if you're interested. And I was like, well, the answer is always yes, So we went there, and just some phenomenal, great guys out there. And after the show, we do really good at the show. Took a bunch of orders for some prototype hammers that we were wanting to get into the everyday hammer, because at that point our main deal was restored hammers or dual diagonal pins. So we wanted to do the straight pins and cross pins and flat rounding and the right hand diagonal, left hand diagonals, the whole bit. And so we're having dinner with them and their family that night because they invited us. Well, hell, you don't go to dinner with 15, 18 Forge and Fire guys without a notepad, So we're having dinner, and I asked him, what part of knife making, the forging process, do you hate the most? And they said it's the time you spent on the 2x72 grinder was kind of the overwhelming response. And Eric, you talked about the sharp peen on some of the hammers was leaving deep valleys and high peaks. So that's when we decided to come up with again, we didn't invent anything. We just kind of did it our way. So we started doing the fat peens and passed it around, and I had 12 guys that were gonna all take turns using a hammer for about a week just to give me a review, see what they thought about it, kind of, pass it around, get a review on them. And out of the 12 guys, I sold 8 hammers and got invited to the next demo. And it was like, okay, yeah, we're on to something now. And that was in December, it was 6 years. It was 6 years Two Basterds has been around. And by the Belleville show in April, we're poised to hit about 2,500 hammers in 6 years.
Goodness,
which is absolutely great. Awesome. And one of the things that I want to have you kind of not really explain, but whenever you say that they were annoyed by how long they spent on the 2x72, what did you mean by
I apologize. Grinding down, getting from the deep valleys and the sharp peaks from the forge markings from the hammer, grinding that down to get down to their bevels, grinding that down to get down to their flat blades.
Yep. That way, they're not spending as much time getting rid of what they did to the steel with their hammers.
It took that deep valley and that sharp peak and turned it into almost a deeper wavelength shape, where it's
Yep.
And let me stop you right there, because you mentioned something about I screwed that one up. I'm just going to go into, guys, if you haven't gone to Pop's Knife Supplies at Pop's Knife, hey, this is a live podcast. We're recording live. We can, we don't have to cut this out anymore. We run it off. Kyle Daly spends like 8 hours going through and cutting out all of Dan's cussing. Just let it flow, Kyle. Just let it flow. Just let it go, baby.
He's been doing much better.
I love Dan. I truly do. He's a good man, and I know he says he's doing better and everything. But I'm just saying, these days, I just click print and let it go. So anyway, popsknivessupplies.com. They started out 40 years ago with James Poplin. He was already an accomplished knife maker when he started his supply business, and he served the knife making community with leading prices and actual shipping cost. Go out and check popsknifesupplies.com. Bring us home back, Eric.
Yeah, so that was kind of what I wanted to have you explain was the fact that they were annoyed by how long they spend on the 2x72 was because of using particular tools that made it to where they had to spend that much time having to correct those things. And that's why I tell a lot of people whenever I'm doing my live streams and I can actually explain some of the forging process, that I want them to understand why I have the amount of heat in particular in the steel at that moment whenever I'm forging, because you planish at one heat, you forge at one heat, you move material at one heat, and there's different reasons behind that because of the amount of whenever you take a hammer blow to something that is super hot, it's going to put a big dent in it. But if it starts cooling down and it's in that like 1,000-degree area and you're planishing, then you're going to be able to get nice smooth hammer blows onto the steel, and you're not going to have to worry about correcting those later. It's trying to have people understand that whenever you can do a hammer in and someone can point at the steel and what they're doing with the hammer and what the hammer is doing to the steel and what the anvil is doing to the steel and all of those things, it's a lot easier. But whenever you're trying to convey that over the internet, you have to try and explain to them, this is what I'm talking about here. Whenever we're looking at the steel and it's this color, this is why I'm hitting it when it's cooler. This is why I'm hitting it when it's hotter, and the different phases. But a lot of that does come into play whenever you're talking about the type of hammer that you're using. And one of the reasons why I explain why I'm using my hammer that has a sharper point to it versus when I'm using your hammer that has the broader head on it and the fat keen. And I love that because what I did was I rounded the edge of my anvil in one area to match that. So whenever I'm forging my integral bolsters, I have the same round profile on the edge of my anvil as what's on your straight peen that I have from you. And I can take and hammer in that one area into the bolster and just flip it and flip it and flip it and flip it. And I'll get a nice even radius transition from the ricasso up into the bolster by hand, as opposed to having to use a small wool attachment or a waterfall platen to create it.
I do want to say that makes a lot of sense because, Frankie, what you said in the beginning about, hey, going out making your own hammers or just using something off the shelf. I can take something as simple as saying, hey, I've taken a ball peen and just hit a piece of hot steel early on, seeing what it would do. And you put that nice little golf ball divot in a piece of steel. Now, I already imagine the effect of having a much wider face on that, as you were talking about earlier, and the better effect that you wouldn't get those peaks and valleys and such. You don't have to answer this, but Otis Pinto is only concerned with what you charge Eric Rivers for his hammers, and please don't answer that question.
Eric pays double, doesn't he?
He's got that.
He does.
He's got that YouTuber money, so I always upcharge him a little.
There you go.
There you go. What do they cost for us regular guys?
Yeah. Give us a breakdown and tell us what you offer and where we can find these things.
Oh my goodness, we're super.
Hey, hold on. Before you go into what you're about to say, I'm going to interrupt one thing. And I'm going to say this. There's a lot of hammer makers that sell hammers. There's people that I get hammers from, but you have to buy them whenever they create them. And you buy what they have available. What he's about to tell you, the cool thing about Frank is you can say, hey, I need X, and he will go, okay. There's a difference between what he does and what a lot of other people do, because there's a lot of people that are popular right now, and they make their hammers in batches, and they sell you what's available. And once that's out until they decide to make hammers again. This is one of the things that I love about Frank is you can go, hey, I need this weighted hammer with this type of head on one side and this type of head on the other, and he can make it for you. Now go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you,
What you're
Eric.
gonna
No,
say.
that was perfect. I mean, and for that, he probably gets a discount on his next hammer. He's probably going to pay the regular price now, for that endorsement.
All right.
No, it's simple. Our standard production hammers, are 5160. They're 2-pound ish, 3-pound ish, 4-pound ish, and they run 120, 130, 140 accordingly. Unless I do the gun blue with all the sexy hollow grinds and all that, and that's another $30 each. So you're talking 150, 160, 170. That's the standard production. Our dog heads start at 200 and go up, 180 and go up. But those are kind of what Eric was talking about. Some of the other makers is I do our standard production hammers because I love making hammers. They're just, again, I'm a big hammer nerd, so I love what we come up with. A good tool doesn't have to look grungy or rough. A good tool can look as cool as it works, and that's why I love our hammers. That's why I love doing what we do with our hammers. But the dog heads, when I'm listening to a podcast, when I'm listening to the Knives Templar podcast, for example, and I realize I've ground through 5 hammers, and I didn't realize I ground through the last 3 because I'm picturing y'all having the conversation while I'm doing the grinding. At that point, I need to turn off the podcast. I grab some 4140 or 4340, and I start forging out some dog heads. And those are all hand forged. That's why I charge more for those. But at that point, I don't really take orders for the dog heads. Usually people say, hey, next time you do something in the 3-pound range, or next time you do something in the 5-pound range, I want one. Then you go on the list. And when I forge one out, I'll call you and say, hey, I got one. Here's what I got. I do those for therapy. But that's why those are a little more expensive. And, once they go up higher than that, like that Eric's hammer coming to him, that almost 5-pound frost fat peen, that monster with all the bluing coming at him, that's going to be a little bit more. Eric's happily paying a little bit more than that. So that's the easiest way to find us is on Instagram or TikTok at 2BasterdsHammer. It's BASTERDS. Or Facebook, it's 2Basterds Texas Smithy and Supplies.
And that's where you can find them. Let me say this. I believe in putting your money where your mouth is. I'm going to review your hammer as a mediocre, not even a sub-mediocre metal smasher. What hammer would you recommend for me?
Oh my gosh. First thing I'd probably ask you is, what do you have? Because it'd be real easy for me to put together a package for you based on your budget and take all your money. But if you already have something that maybe it only needs to be rehandled, you may have your primary hammer already in your stock, and it may be something you found at a flea market or under Grandpa's workbench or something, and all you need me to do is rehandle
Amazon and Harbor Freight reconstructed to look like a forging hammer.
There you go.
So Eric, you help him. Eric, what do you think I should
Well, again, it kind of
for me, again, go ahead.
I want a 10-pound rounding hammer so I can tell Eric Rivers, suck it, Eric Rivers, suck it. no, joking aside. I'm thinking something in the 2.5, 3-pound range, rounding hammer with a flat side, flat rounding. Help me out here. Is that using the right terminology?
Yeah. I'd probably go with look at the 3-pound. It's a pretty good, depending on what kind of stock you're using. I think most people, their happy place, their happy place for most of their forgings is going to be anywhere from 1 3/4 to 2.5 pounds is probably going to be everybody's happy place. But you're going to need heavier hammers for certain stuff. You may want lighter, auto body hammers like Eric has for lighter for some of the more fine tuning stuff. Eric mentioned being in a shop and I
copied him.
What? Do what?
I said I've got one. I copied him.
There you go.
I've got one. I copied him.
There you go. So
I want to be Eric Rivers when I grow younger.
That's it. No, you're gonna, ultimately smithing is as much physical work as it is. If you really look at it, we're kind of lazy. You could do everything with files, sandpaper, a bench vise, and one hammer. You could do that technically, but a big collection of hammers makes it easier. A bunch of different tongs for specific stock. It makes it a lot easier. 2x72 makes it easy.
I've got a 2-pound rounding hammer that I like. I actually got it. I ordered it off of Amazon, but I ordered it might have been from one of the blacksmith supply shops. But anyway, okay. I like it. I was thinking about getting something a little bigger, and I like that big fat face like Eric's got.
So I would suggest 2 hammers. If you got 2 hammers, do a
straight
a 2.5 to 2 3/4. Or if you're going to do something that's a little bit heavier, do a 3-pound rounding hammer, and then do a cross peen, straight peen.
Lost you.
2.5 pound to 2 3/4 pound.
Cross.
So one hammer that's cross peen or straight peen.
Well, he was
throw
probably
myself upon the cross.
Straight peen. I'd probably throw in
Devil's Crossroads.
No.
I think he's saying I need to go to Mississippi and sell my soul to the devil to become at the crossroads to become a knife maker.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? I don't know if you can or not, but
Verizon, we can hear you now.
Cross peen, straight peen. So on one side it's a cross peen, the other side's a straight peen, and then a rounding hammer. And you could pretty much do almost anything that you need to do within forging in finger choils, within stretching material, both width-wise and height-wise, and being able to do a lot of the stuff that you're going to do. If you had a cross peen, straight peen, and then you had a rounding hammer,
if I get a 3-pound rounding hammer, it's going to have a rounding head on it, and the other side's going to be a flat head.
Yeah, and
flat.
Not many are going to be the style that my primary rounding hammer. Those are made by, I say primary, the big fat one that a lot of people think is cool looking. The Thor's hammer looking ones. That's by Fire Creek.
I knew Thor, and sir, you are no Thor.
Nope, I'm not a Thor.
Okay.
But those little Mjolnirs, that's his particular style of it. It's, you don't need that, but that's just that particular style for how big those hammers are, because they're 5-pound hammers. And in order to make a 5-pound hammer that doesn't have a huge, you don't have to put the face really far away from the actual handle. He just leaves them super chunky.
Yeah.
So that the face can be closer to the actual handle. But you don't get all the cool facets like you get with Frank's.
Okay, so here it is. My first hammer is going to be a 3-pound rounding hammer.
That's a good.
Well, you said you already have a. You said you already have a rounding hammer. You don't have a straight peen or a cross peen or anything?
I've got a straight peen and a cross peen, but they're I made them both. But I would think I'd like to start with a rounding hammer, because I'm a repeat buyer.
Right.
I think it's a good place for me to start, because the one that I got sometimes just feels kind of light, and I end up pulling out a 3-pound sledge that I got from Harbor Freight for hitting heavier steel. So I wouldn't mind just trying that, and I want to see how it feels. So, I'll get in touch with you, or you get in touch with me and tell me how to pay, and I will order one of those from you. If they're in stock, great. If I need to wait or go on a list, just let me know what I need to do. And then when we get done with that, we'll do a review for it on the Knives Templars review page, and also get Eric's input and let him write something up as well. And if Joey's got his hammer at that time, let them write something into the article also. that way you'll get, aspects from each of the makers it's certainly at different skill level sets. So I think it'll be pretty good. And I also want to thank you so much for that. And I look forward to working on that. So just please do send me a note, and I will purchase the hammer right away. With that being said, before Kyle takes us to commercial, Mark, I just wanted to point out that your face looks as smooth and beautiful as Otis Sears' bald head.
Yes.
You didn't think we noticed?
No,
did you?
I was going to just kind of, color one on there, but the had to shave the beard off for the wear my uniform.
I had to shave mine off for my boss at one time, so I and rightfully so. I needed to clean that beard up. Frankie, I used to have a 2-foot long beard, and I shaved it completely off for about a year, and now I've kind of come back to this. But with that being said, Mark, you look marvelous. Frankie, thank you so much. Please stay on the rest of the show unless you do have to go. But I hope that that more people reach out to you, the 3 listeners. And then if Kyle promotes this, because he's got 6 listeners, which 2 of those are their wives, I've heard on the show. But maybe you'll sell a half a hammer out of it. But more than anything, we are the selfish ones here because you're educating us. This whole thing is about educating ourselves. If the rest of the world hears it, well, good for them too. So people can find you again. Tell us one more time. I don't want them to have to hit the rewind.
It's at 2 Basterds Hammers, TWOBASTERDS HAMMER, 2 Basterds Hammers. That's Instagram and TikTok. On Facebook, it's 2 Basterds Texas TX Smithies and Supplies. Super simple. My phone number is on all that fun stuff, so it's easy to reach out to me, and we'll get you hooked up. We do a lot of shows. We do Jeff Davidson's Hammer In here in Texas. We do the Texas Custom Knife Show every November in Conroe, Texas. We do the Texas Select by Phoenix Knives in Belleville every year. We're proud sponsors of all 3 of those shows. And this year, we're actually reaching out of state. We're going to be doing we're sponsors, gold and silver sponsors of the Oklahoma Knife Show coming up. We are we're going to sponsor the Louisiana Knife Show. We're going to be part of and sponsor the Natural State Knife Show in Arkansas, as well as the Central States Hammer In, which is in this year also in Oklahoma. So we're for the first time, we are doing 4 out-of-state shows this year. I'm sponsoring every single one of them.
Good deal.
Excellent. Well, I know that if y'all were at Blade Show, that they'd eat you up as well. That's wonderful. I've been to your website, beautiful hammers. Please stick with us for the rest of the show, or as long as you're able to. And with that being said, I want to knock a couple of these out right now. Mark, you have been you're interested in hammers, but you're not really going to be beating on anything right now because you've ordered a nice new beautiful oven, and not sure if it's arrived yet. You can fill us in a little bit later, but since you're not hammering, you probably are thinking about it's about time to take a swim up the East Coast because the weather's going to start warming up. Where are you swimming to, B-Max?
If it's now that it's getting warmer, I think I'm going to head up to Canada and one of my favorite knife supply stores up at Maritime Knife Supply.
And Mr. Lawrence Lake, you say?
.ca.
He likes us more than he likes. Yeah, MaritimeKnifeSupply.com will take you to MaritimeKnifeSupply.ca, and that CA is not for God, it's for Canada. And I will tell you, you get great shipping, great products. As a matter of fact, this week I had some bars of steel arrive, and 2 nice big old long 4-foot bars arrive, and I'll be unpacking them tomorrow and taking a look at them. So let's see what Mr. Lawrence Lake has to offer. He's got everything in the way of knife making, and he ships it all over the world. And Kyle, I know that your favorite belt provider is the guys over at Phoenix, and they do something for both of us. So why don't you just take us on into the next segment with a little information on Phoenix?
Yeah, I love Phoenix abrasives. I use all their stuff. They The purple ceramic belts are the ones I use a lot with CPM 154, and then I use a lot of those VSM 36-inch or grit incinerator belts for cutting on MagnaCut, getting it rough down. The purple 60 and 120 belts work really good. I wish they'd make that incinerator belt in some finer grits, but I've heard that there's a 50 grit on the way, but still has been yet to be seen. But yeah, Phoenix Abrasive sells all of your stuff, all the stuff you could possibly need. Rhino wet, sandpaper, and Scotch-Brite belts and everything. So yeah, I believe it's Templars 10 for the discount.
And what else can you put in while you're there?
You can also use KP10 if that's easier for you to remember for the knife perspective.
There you go, because we love the knife perspective. Kyle and I listen to each other's broadcast, not so much to steal talent from each other, because I couldn't emulate what they do. Those guys are so technical and good at what they do. I would come off like an idiot. He's more of the Dean Martin and I'm more of the Jerry Lewis. He may want to switch that up. You know, he's the Laurel, I'm the Hardy. I don't know. But I will tell you, two great podcasts come together. And unfortunately, you can't put Templars KP in and get 20% off. But if you put KP 10 or Templars 10, you're going to get 10% off your order. And tell them Chip sent you, even if you do put in KP 10.
Yeah, I'll be seeing those guys here at the end of March. They'll be at the Badger Knife Show if you're in the southern Wisconsin area. Lots of the Midwest Knife Makers Guild guys are there.
Good deal. All you guys with the same accent, so you don't sound funny.
Oh, they still sound funny.
They sound more funnier than you, because you're from Indiana, right?
Yeah, I'm from Southern Indiana.
There you go.
Dan said he's upgraded me from Yankee to Midwesterner. So
Midwesterner.
I've got that.
There you go.
Yeah. That actually is. Yeah, I used to tell people I was a Midwesterner of Southern heritage when I lived up in Michigan. So, one other one I want to point out to you. I don't know what you guys are using, but I tell you what, if you've got an Ameribraid, and I recommend the Mastery package, you can get grinding with them. What is their? They've got is it Get Grinding? Is that the first one?
Yeah,
we always mess
grinding.
this up. Yep. Yeah, Get Grinding. And then you've got the intermediate package. That's the one we can never remember, because I always go back, man, just go ahead and buy once, cry once. Get yourself a Mastery package. And if you go to Ameribraid, Eric and Kevin over there, they're going to be the guys that answer the phone. They're making some of the best grinders in the world right now. And their accessories and tools are some of the best on the market. You need to take a look at those three packages. And if you call Ameribraid, you're going to find out you've got some of the best customer service out there. Even better than that, if you put in Templars 20, did you hear that, Kyle Daly? Templars 20 at checkout, you can get 20% off parts and accessories. So I don't know if it's cheaper to order a Mastery package part by part and accessory by accessory. Yeah. I don't know if it'll come out cheaper or not. You do the math. But I would suggest you just go ahead and buy the full Mastery package and then start adding on those accessories and parts. I keep a lot of change parts. Nobody wants to be in the middle of a knife or in the middle of a project and have something go bad. So I've always got an extra set of about 50% of my grinder that I can slap a new part on there. And it makes it very nice to be able to get those at a great price. Last thing I want to mention is knife-wood.
Well, hold on. They got a Valentine's Day special. If you buy 2 dozen roses, you'll get a free Mastery package. I saw that on their Instagram.
Yeah, it's on their website too.
The other day.
There you go.
Yeah, the 2 dozen roses is like $3,000 or something, and the grinder's free or something.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was getting ready. I'm gonna have to cut. I got to cut this out. You just got me sued, dude. You came in here and sabotaged my podcast. Okay, go out and buy $2,000 worth of roses, or whatever the exact $3,000 worth of roses, and get whatever that will get you in the way of a grinder package over at Ameribraid. Those guys are creative and funny. Don the Train Watson, he says, I endorse this
They're
message. Awesome. Mark Vasallo says, oh yeah. And Otis here says, I wish I was an Ameribraid boy.
And then I have one thing to say about that is if people haven't been doing their math, 20% on grinder accessories. Let's say you get something that's $1,000. 20% is a huge discount.
Yeah, go out and get a
when you start saving that much money.
Get a surface grinder and see how much you just saved. Yeah, for sure. And as I was going to mention, go out and visit knife-wood.com. And Oleg Bashkovich, he's got some of the best stabilized wood out on the market. He ships it from Russia. He's got a warehouse over here in the States. I believe he's still got that over in the Philadelphia area, so he can get it to you quickly. And you will be sold on his quality, but his artistic ability to make that wood just beautiful, along with his customer service, makes it some of the best looking handle material out there. So knife-wood.com. We got about all in. Now, as I move on here, Don, I was kind of feeling sorry for you and VMAX. And I only randomly have started. I mean, tomorrow I'm going to go out and work on a knife and a sheath, and I'm going to get out my hammer, even though I had intended on doing a stock removal off of one of Terrio's designs. But here we go. We've got another stock removal guy that's transitioning into, he's got his forge. You got your anvil yet, Daly?
I've got a very small anvil.
That's okay. You know, they make something that starts with a V for that, for small anvils.
A little pill.
V.
I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps the size. That just helps you last.
No, it's Vevlor. Vevlor. Is it Vevlor?
Vevor.
I don't know.
Vevor.
Vevor.
Yeah, Vevor. Yeah.
Different. Okay.
What were you fools thinking? You young guys. I was thinking Vevor.
Eric, you're pervert.
Yeah, they got inexpensive.
Rise of Niagara.
Yeah. You guys are perverts. Eric's got one in his shop. You know, I've got one in my shop next to my Paragon anvil. I've got one in my shop as well. But I will tell you, I know he's probably listening real tight on those hammers tonight too, going, I think I need to slip on over to Two Basterds and at least see what he's got to offer. But we're here. We brought him in by surprise. Kyle Daly is kind of like Robin Williams. He's not funny, but he's someone you can get on the show that you want is just interesting as hell, and you love to have him on because he's one of the greatest guys in the world. But he's not funny. No, he is funny. He is funny. Kyle runs a little business called KHDaily.com, and he's turning out all kinds of buddies and some of the most beautiful knives I've seen. And Kyle, we've had you on the show as a guest before, but we've had you on here to lead this podcast for us when I've been under the weather. But tonight, we unanimously voted that you were one of those innovator spotlight kind of guys too. That's changing our industry. You are leading. You are the New York, the Italian. You are the cutting edge of. Let me go with this. It's a good thing. Everybody looks at LA, New York, Italy. It's not like you're not Germany. Germany's just like nothing's good about Germany. It's just Germany. They got old castles. You are cutting edge development, and you are what's in style. And that's where I was really headed with this, because you're putting out all kinds of great products along with beautiful knives. And you saw that, Mark and Don both sat up straight in their chairs because, I know you're going to do some forging too, but they are stock removal guys that do wonderful jobs making knives. So tell us about KHDaily.com.
So I was an engineer before I started doing the knife making thing full time. And whenever I'm working on knives, I try to make my own life easier. And fortunately, a lot of people seem to have the same problems that I do. So a lot of the tools and stuff that I've created to help solve some of my own problems have been able to help a lot of other people. I started making I use a lot of pins in my knife handles. Each one of my handles has 7 pins. So I end up cutting a lot of round stock, and cutting it on the bandsaw always didn't feel extremely safe. And then I made a little crosscut sled.
I'm sorry, I've asked you to stop for a moment. Eric is having a conniption fit when I say Germany doesn't make cool things. Yes, Germany is an engineering. Look at what they produced over the last century. I'm just saying there's nothing. Germans don't have no sense of humor.
I sent them a picture of my car.
Germans have no sense of. They have and Italy just upped you with Ferrari, but the Enzo's model. But the point is
Ferrari.
Okay, Kazakhstan. What exciting ever came out of Kazakhstan besides Borat? And he wasn't that exciting. Okay, does that make you feel better?
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Oh, you retard, Don? Are you retard?
Yes,
Don,
I am.
Are you retard?
I am.
Oh, you retard?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, I was like that. Retarded? No, retired. So, Don, you were going to say before we, we'll get back to Collier. We'll get back to you.
I was looking at showing my wife your knives and that you posted. You have all the spine work done, all the file work. But I noticed you had 7. I counted 7 pins in your knives. And I was wanting, my wife goes, Linda goes, why does he put so many pins in there? Is that for decoration? I said, I guess he's afraid that his handle is going to come off. But no, I figured I would ask you. But why do you put so many pins in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both. So I wanted something unique on my handle that you could tell was one of mine from the get-go. So from my very first knife, I've used 7 pins. And being kind of OCD, I always evenly space them around. But I've always kind of liked having the 3 little bit bigger pins and then the 4 little bit smaller pins. So I learned from Steve Schwartzer, this was like 5 years after I've been doing it. He said that apparently odd numbers of pins look better in knife handles. Lots of people that just use 2, they usually don't sell as well as people who put 3. For whatever reason, he said that that's something he's always noticed. But yeah, I like the way it looks and the little bit extra.
I'll put 7 in.
Yeah.
I'm going for 8. I'm going 8. No, I'm going 8.
No, it has to be 9. It has to be 9.
Yeah, there's a guy in the Midwest Knife Makers Guild. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he usually uses like 15 or more. Uses a ton of them, and he posted up a picture that he broke a handle trying to put them together, and I think it was Peter Martin goes, "It's because you got too many pins." Trying to squeeze it all together.
There's no wood, all pins.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I do it for a lot of the aesthetic, and I figured lots of people don't think they all go through. They all 7 of them go all the way through. Lots of think it looks cool. And
what drill bits do you use?
I use some from McMaster Carr. It's called a high relief chip clearing bit. That's what I like to use mostly on handle material.
Clear those chips, man. Clear them.
Yeah, get them out of here. But yeah, I use an 11 and a 30, I believe, for the 3/16 and 1/8 inch. So it's just a couple thousandths over both those dimensions.
Yeah. Can you link those in our little group chat thing?
Yeah, I can send you them.
Yeah, if you guys aren't using Master Car, when I had my fishing lure business and even with knives, man, they've got so many wonderful products out there. And you're not getting something that's coming from overseas. It advertises to be something that's truly not.
Yeah, they're not the cheapest, but they get it there super quick.
Yeah.
Well, lots of times I have found some of their stuff to be on the more reasonable. Like I can't usually find it much cheaper than it's on McMaster, and their world headquarters is 12 miles away. So if it says in stock on their website, I can pick it up in an hour. So that saved me a few times.
Well, I mean, there's a few things that you don't cheap out on: drill bits, porta bandsaw blades, saw blades. There's a lot of those things that you cheap out on them, and it's going to mess up on you at the worst time.
Yep. Always keep an extra pack on the shelf.
Yep. Kyle, you've never said, "Damn, number 7 won't fit," so you just kind of hack it off and slide it in from both sides. That's quality control, baby. He says no. It don't go. It don't go out the door.
So,
and that's important to say because a lot of people can, I don't know if everybody can just say that.
Yeah. So I use hardened dowel pins. So when I drill a hole through the handle scales, I throw the pin through, and then when I drill the next hole, put the pin in, and then eventually there's seven metal pins through as I've been drilling all the holes, and then after that I just use 2 pins to kind of hold the handle scales as I shape the front and shape around the outside before it glue up. But while I'm drilling all the holes,
how's your back?
It's fine.
Honestly, if you ever break something or your back or whatever, you can assist the doctor. It's like, hey, I got this. When he starts putting pins in, it's like, I got this.
Yeah. I make and sell those pins too.
Surgical pins?
No, the little tool pins to that are the sizes I sell. Quarter inch.
Pin buddies.
3/16 and 1/8 inch.
What are they called?
Rigging pins or something?
I just call them alignment pins, I think.
There's no buddy on the end of that.
No. Dan was giving me heck about the couple of buddy names that I put.
Well, how about you could call them pin pals?
Oh, yeah.
Pin pals.
Hey, I like that.
There you go.
I'm the guy that used to watch SpongeBob, and I thought that Patrick was genius when he went Chum is Fum. And then when he came back with Fum is Chum, I was like, brilliant. And that's when I became a great marketer. You guys must not have watched SpongeBob for the last 25, 27 years.
Pins.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little bit too old for SpongeBob when it first came out, and my kids aren't into SpongeBob now, so
You're probably better off.
The tragedy.
I don't feel insulted by that. Where'd Kyle go?
No.
Where'd Kyle go? He's gone.
Right? He disappeared.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Just has the connecting 3 dots. So one of the things that I think is really cool about Kyle is when you talk about innovating and just doing random little things, like seeing him 3D print, just things that a lot of people don't think about, like the little pin cutter box thing that you do, and to have the right length of pins, and it has the little collector on it, and then of course the little sanding sticks that I use. Hopefully a lot of my viewers have been buying those, because I've had a lot of people ask me for those lately, because I've been doing all the hand sanding in the different videos and everything like that. But I just it's just simple things like that I think are really cool, because the amount of people that use a hand file, Mr. Otis here, or like have a file with sandpaper wrapped around it, or they use a piece of steel or a piece of wood or different things. Those little micarta sanding sticks are awesome.
That's right.
And
That's right.
First,
I love mine.
Whenever you sent them to me, you know how you sent them with the little rubber backer, a little rubber pad that goes on too.
Yep.
At first, I didn't know if I was going to use those, but yeah, every single time I'm going through my sanding grits, I got the grits that I go through with the hard one, and then the ones with the
white and the black,
pad.
the white and the black. I use all 3 too.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
I just want to say to you, Otis, here in your file sanding device, once you go Kyle buddy, you never go back. You need to get some sanding. You need to get some sanding buddies. It's kind of like 2 Basterds, Frankie. Frankie's explained to us tonight, and you know this, Otis, here. You've got custom made hammers. When you get a good piece of equipment and you use it, you realize, why was I doing that the hard way so long?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Otis here makes such perfect knives. He's not willing to deviate from the weird science he's got going on, is all.
And there's another thing.
The pinto sauce.
If y'all haven't got Kyle's book for filing your spines, then you're missing out, because I know that when you think about filing spines, it can kind of get a little daunting, or you're like, I don't know how to start the filing and to be able to keep it in line and symmetrical, and what file do I use where. to be able to create like the cool little like vine patterns and stuff like that. And his book actually explains those things. And he's got a little cheater thing that's 3D printed. That's really cool. And it makes your life a lot easier for trying to figure out how to hand file those designs into your spines.
Yep. Layout is key on that. Just having layout lines and then following your plan works really well. Mm-hmm. I sell the little files that I use to do all the patterns also. Now that I'm doing more production style, I use a Fordham tool a lot. I mount the Fordham handle in my vise, and I actually put the knife to the Fordham tool, and that helps. Like if you've ever used a Fordham tool and you're like cutting in and it jumps, that keeps it from jumping. You can get both hands on the knife and really do those cuts in there consistently.
But I thought you were talking about a filing book. I bought his first book. It was called 7 Years of Yes, Buy What You Want. 7 Years of Yes, Buy What You Want. It was a great book, Kyle. Changed my life. My wife won't let me use the credit card anymore.
Hey, Kyle,
Don.
What burrs do you use, Kyle? Little carbide burrs you use to drill?
Yeah, so for the ones I use the most are the 1/8 inch and the 3/16. But the 3/16 ones I usually just use a completely flat with a flat tip, and then the 1/8 inch ones I always usually have like a little bit of, or use the round ball nose one where it's flat, and then because I usually I use that for file work, and I also use it to write the type of steel it is on the tang, so I don't mix that up when it goes through heat treat.
Okay.
Yep.
You know the name of it?
Yeah.
So what are you thinking there, Frankie? You thinking about buying some KHDaily knives or trading them for some hammers or whatever? I don't know.
Oh man, I'm not looking at the picture of anybody here I wouldn't be willing to trade a knife or a hammer for. But I got a quick question for Kyle. For some of the newbies or guys like me that are playing with the idea of getting into making knives, not as a business, but just because I'd like to add to my skill sets. When you're coming up with your file patterns on your spines, because they are crazy, they're just ridiculously beautiful. I have trouble wrapping my head around it.
Gorgeous.
When you're coming up with your different designs, do you start with a sacrificial edge piece of steel just in the vise, just to see if the idea in your head actually works out on steel?
Yeah. So when I do mainly stock removal. So when I cut the handle, there's like a rectangular section underneath the handle. I end up having tons of those little blanks, and I'll test out new patterns and stuff with that. I haven't done that too terribly often. I do 5 main ones, and usually people pick one of those 5.
Wonderful.
So, Kyle, where can people find what you do?
You can find all that stuff at KHDailyKnives.com, and you can find my file book at Jant's Knife Supply and USA Knife Maker, and you can find my carbide hammers also at housemade.us, and you can find some of my sanding sticks at Phoenix Abrasives also.
Heck yeah, and I will tell you, put in Templars 10 or KP 10. And Kyle is a frequent flyer at Blade Show, and if you run into him, he'll always have a beverage for you of sorts.
Down in the pit.
Down in the pit, he's a pit man, but also more importantly, you get an opportunity to meet, interface with Kyle, and the one neat thing about knife making, there's not a lot of attitudes going around. There's not a lot of people that think, everybody's so open. And when I first met Kyle, I'll tell you now, Kyle, I kind of had the old Trollsky thing with you. I didn't know what to expect. And Trollsky, he was down to earth. He went and spoke to me since then. I must have really freaked him out hanging onto his leg like a dog in heat. But hey, it was embarrassing, but I've got pictures and that's all I wanted. But I'll tell you, Kyle, I didn't expect the wonderful person that you are and what you do bring to this community. So kudos to you for all you do, because you do it on many different fronts. And I think that the knife making community is much better off with people like you in it. So I hope you're always a friend. And if I embarrass you, you just wink at me occasionally. Let me know we're still friends, even if you won't acknowledge me in public. Okay. I'm used to that. No, Kyle, thank you so much. And hey, you're going to be on the rest of the show. I also want to throw in here, guys. You know what? We have a lot of great products. I've got a Majestic Forge. Visit them at majesticforge.com. They're the forges used on Forged in Fire, and they've got all types of forges to fit your needs. Whether you're an artist, a blacksmith, a knife maker, Majestic Forge can fit your needs. There's another great maker out there, and that guy is Brian Houseworth with housemade.us. And if you're looking for him, he not only offers a great forge in the Apollo Forge. Kyle Daly's just assembled one of those, and it looks beautiful. Looking forward to seeing him put that thing to work here in the future. But also go out and check out Brian's 2x72 grinders. He's got forges, build plans, all types of things you can buy. When you buy one of his forges, you can buy many of the pieces with it, or he leaves it off where you can go out and print your pieces. So if you're 3D printing the cone for your blower and giving you a parts list, we'll get those things offline. So like, Eric was saying last episode that, you can assemble this grinder and you can buy the extra components to put into it that you choose. And he's going to give you some recommendations, but you can take it from there. We see lots of beautiful house-made grinders out there doing a wonderful job making gorgeous knives. And I'm going to give you a little hint, because as I get deeper and deeper into this knife making world that I'm in, is that there's so many good guys. And I've got an exciting one for you. We've got a great grinder innovator that's going to be on a future show here. If it's not next show, it's after that. But I'll just go ahead and tell you. We've got Brian, and we've also got what kind of grinder do you got, Kyle Daly?
I've got a Broadbeck.
Yes, you do. So we've got Broadbeck, and we've got Houseworth going to be on our Innovator Spotlight on a couple upcoming shows. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, Frankie, if you haven't seen, Brian is making a special Apollo Forge version specifically for hammer makers and blacksmiths. So
well, I have been.
Might want to check that out.
Yeah, I've been following that conversation, and I listen to WFI also, so I've been listening to Brian. I actually had a good dinner down in Conroe last November with Ryan Broadbeck and Lawrence Lake as well. And we slowly brought up different ideas that they were looking on in the future, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that kind of a dedicated hammer maker's forge.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dang cool how this community is connected the way we are. Thousands of us, and tens of thousands of us for all I know. And the way people are connected is one of the most beautiful things I don't see in any other hobby. I used to be really involved in the fishing community with a fishing lure company, and all fishermen ever did was beat the hell out of each other and cussed and screamed and argued. It's really cool what we do. Eric, what were you going to say?
So talking about the community and all that. So I've got a little listener shout out for so Dwayne McDowell. He was listening to the podcast, and where I was talking about, my particular grinder brand that I use and some of the parts that I want, but they are a little bit kind of out of reach price wise. And he's a machinist, and he was just messaged me out of the blue and was like, "Hey, I actually make some of those parts. I kind of." He had to stop making knives for a little while, so all he did was he just made a few things, and he's sending me the stuff to do the double stack setup on my grinder so that I can do the double tooling arms and a few things like that. And we've been talking back and forth. But
George Takei just went, "Oh my!"
Yeah,
and I just think that's cool, because that's how this community is. It is, we try and help each other out as much as absolutely possible. And, one of the things that I try and do to give back is, of course, I do all my teaching for free. Everything that I do with the YouTube and all that stuff, is to try and help fellow knife makers and help people that have brands that make awesome things and try and give people as many shout outs and everything as possible. And I love that people are able to just do the things that they do. You know, somebody needs help, we send them stuff. Somebody needs a thing. If somebody has extra handle material, they just send the people the things. Or, you know, if they need help, I mean, my first grinder, a local bladesmith has it. I've been able to gift an anvil. I've gifted hammers. I've gifted, you know, steel. I've gifted a lot of different things to get people going or to help people through a rough spot or help people finish knives that they can't do because they're transitioning from one place to another, but they still got to have an income. And I just love that aspect of this.
Yeah, but that just what you just said is no $7 to anybody for a couple of Cokes, as we voted on last show, because it sounds like you're just retooling the grinder that you've got. Sorry, guys, no $7.
I am retooling the grinder that I have, but it's just really cool because again, somebody was just listening and they were just like, you know what, I have one of these things, and they're sending it to me, so it's going to be pretty.
But
cool.
Isn't it cool? Because I think that our grinders, as well as many pieces of equipment, we have a intimate, and don't get funny, I'm being serious here. We have an intimate relationship with that machine, the way it works, its little glitches and the things it does and what it'll do. And, you know, it's nice when you have a piece of equipment that it kind of becomes one with you and how you use it. I guarantee you that if Kyle went out and got a fourth Broadbeck and put in his shop, he would have to learn, you know, just how to dance with that girl, you know, so to speak. And it's not that she wouldn't be the same, but she's going to be tuned just a little bit different. So it's really cool that you can do that with your piece of equipment. Now, do you think you'll go with direct drive, or are you going to stick with the belt drive?
I'm going to end up going with the direct drive with the VFD online because it's nice. I would say it's nice having the belt drive, but not having a VFD on that thing sucks. So and I'll tell you, like I tell everybody, your 2x72 is the best tool you'll ever invest in.
I can predict that Eric is going to make a video out of this upgrade.
Oh yeah, I will.
Yeah, you're with your 2x72, like especially when you're grinding with a 36 grit belt, your fingers are, I don't know, 100 thousandths away from severe bodily harm most of the time.
Just means your fingers are expendable. They're expendable.
So you got to respect it and always pay attention.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
get smacked in the face by a belt that snaps.
That's our Blade Show shirts this year, Mark. Respect the grind. And it has pictures of fingers, you know, kind of like Ameribraid's bloody fingers last year. But it'll be like, respect the grind. And maybe, you know, well, no, I'm just thinking just fingertips. I don't want to do that. Respect the grind. Kyle, I saw you write that down just now.
No, I was checking out my thumb with
respecting the grind.
The blisters that I had from hand sanding.
Oh, God, I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I feel that. I've been hand sanding for the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, the kids are at the grandparents tonight, so.
So he won't have to sand it himself.
No fingerprint.
You've got a video to go make. Come on, it's time to go live on the Rivers Experience. And speaking of that, that is our
forging a sword.
That is our very own Eric Rivers, who's been sanding for 2 weeks from the Rivers Experience. You know, and like he said, he teaches you for free the finer arts of knife making at the Rivers Experience on YouTube and also TRE Workshop on Facebook. You want to join in the fun with the community with video instruction and live online events? Check him out at theriversexperience.com. Buy a knife while you're there. Check him out on Facebook at the TRE Workshop, and check him out on YouTube at the Rivers Experience. You'll have fun. Oh, yeah. Jason Fry, I am hungry for a tip.
All right. So I found one in the book that very much matches the spirit of tonight's podcast. Okay, this is tip number 183 out of my book, Knife Making Hacks, 384 Tips to Make Knives Like the Pros. All right. This will show my predictive validity, right? I said this before we had this podcast. All right. If you make knives, you can make tools. Sometimes the gizmo you need is best built yourself. Other times, it's better to defer to the expert gizmo builders, KHDaily. But at least you'd better try to build one first, right? So I enjoy this group of guys in that we come from such variety and of backgrounds, of skill levels, of all over the place. And we have very successfully tonight talked about, well, I'll just build one. Or, no, if you just buy one from the right guy, that's the thing. Or Kyle's approach of, well, I'm an engineer, I'll engineer one. And Frank's approach of, well, I like hammers, I'm going to make some big ones, right? I mean, that's one thing I think that's cool about this knife making community, because both sides are true, right? I mean, you start like Chip and you're like, I don't have a cross peen hammer, but I got this piece of crap from Harbor Freight, I'll make one, right? And then you get to a point where you make complicated stuff. Well, I built my first 2x72 grinder because I couldn't afford a real one. I built my first power hammer because I couldn't just buy one, right? But then you get to a point
you built your disc sander. You built your disc sander, didn't you?
A disc, and I built a lot of stuff. The first brand new tool I bought was my Wilmot grinder that I bought, I think, on year 12 or 13 of knife making. Was the first brand new tool of any consequence, I mean, besides little stuff. But again, that's kind of my tip today is take it where you can get it, right? I mean, there's times where the right answer is, man, just freaking spend the money and buy the right one the first time.
There you go.
There's other times when the right answer, the best answer is, no, just throw something together, right? And that's one of the things I think that makes knife making fun.
And I'm taking that advice to heart, because I'm telling you that Texas Frankie,
yes, sir,
is the reason that Texas Frankie is the reason my wife is going to be chewing me out on the Discover bill next month. Just so you know,
that'll work. One thing,
and she'll say, "You spent what? You bastard!"
Oh, two bastards, both of them. Yeah.
tell her you got her a T-shirt with the Two Bastards logo on it. You know, tell her you wanted to get her a T-shirt, and the T-shirt cost $280, but it came with a couple of free hammers.
There you go.
Yeah, women would go out and buy a $280 T-shirt. Yes,
Absolutely.
they would. Yes, they would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, the thing I love,
women, we love them.
The thing I love about this community. Eric was talking about the community of, everyone tips and tricks. And one thing I'm really impressed with, again, I'm a blacksmith by trade and gone into as a supplier for predominantly bladesmiths. That's probably 75% of the hammers we sell to is dedicated bladesmiths, either hobbyists or professionals. Is everyone is so willing to share, overall, everyone is so willing to share their tips and tricks. I mean, you see guys with been full-time knife makers for 20 years talking to the guy who just wants to get into it, and they're giving up some of their most intimate secrets that they spent a decade developing. The collaborations that go on between bladesmiths or blacksmiths and bladesmiths. We have several collaborations coming up. I'm doing stuff with a few knife makers. We're doing a dedicated line of stuff. Me and Jay Nielsen are doing that together. We get just everyone is so willing to get involved with everybody else just to build up more of the community. You mentioned Brian House several times, and he says something about if your boat has a deeper draft to it, you need more water. If you bring more water into the bay, that floats all the boats up. I'll give him 100% credit for that. But, I've always translated that into if there's more money in the entire industry, whether it's suppliers, knife makers, blacksmiths, if there's more money coming into the entire industry, then everybody makes more money, not just you. And there's nothing but good that comes out of that.
You got that right. That was very well said. Well said. I hope that these knife makers keep learning more and more about you because, things kind of sneak up on you. And I've heard Eric talking about you. I've seen him using your hammers. I see the things he's making. I do understand the process of having a good tool versus a mediocre tool. We all started out, and if you guys that are listening out there, if you had a 1x30 and you went to a 2x42 and you went to a 2x72, think about that transition and what it meant to your knife making. Same thing with hammers or anything else, or buddy. And and you also made another good point about all these people putting these things out here. They've spent all this time developing and without worrying about. Sorry, Kyle. Kyle's mentor told him if you named everything whatever it is, buddy, that nobody would be able to figure out how you did it. But anyway, but I will tell you, I watched you, Kyle. You had the pictures of all the raw stock you were making your sanding buddies this week. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of effort. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of, I'm sure that whether you're routing these, are you routing them?
Yeah, I use some templates that I 3D printed.
Don't tell me your secret. Okay. Yeah. But the point is, there's a certain amount of stuff that kicks back. There's a certain amount of cleanup. There's a certain amount of waste. There's so many things that go into it, the shipping costs and so on. It's just amazing. So you keep naming them, buddy, and I'll keep buying them. But yeah, you're right. It's a big testament to what we've done. As we're winding it down at the 2-hour mark, and I can understand how Tucker Carlson just easily grabbed 2 hours and 7 minutes of Vladimir Putin's time, because when you're talking about interesting things in the world, theirs is totally different from what we talked about. It's easy to let 2 hours slip by. The only thing missing in this wonderful show that we've had tonight is maybe a fire to sit around, Chip trying to play the guitar, you lies laughing, but drinking enough beers and cow that it didn't matter. It had made it so much better. Let's start winding her on home. Mark, when was your oven here yet?
It's not. I gotta see how long it's going to be. I think they said 6 to 8 weeks, and so it's been a couple weeks so far. I did go on and ordered the. I forgot to order the fixture. The little knife ceramic fixture that you can set your knives on. So called Even Heat, ordered that and asked them if they could just stick it in the oven when they shipped it, and they said, "Yeah, absolutely, no shipping for that." So,
good deal.
So yeah, so I got that ordered, and then I'm still.
You got your 220. You got your 220 set up, getting ready to get it set up?
I don't. Electricians keep dropping like flies. So what I'm going to do, I've decided, if I can't get it put in, I'm buying a 220 extension cord, a NEMA extension cord, and I'm going to route it from my dryer all the way into my garage when I have to run the oven. Yep. And so,
sure.
Save up a couple knives.
Sure.
That works. That works.
Heck yeah.
Just put that oven right there in the
That's
laundry
innovation.
room. It'll be all right.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want me to send you my Home Depot book of home wiring that I got back in the 90s, I'll be happy to send it to you. I actually can, if you've got enough space in your box, it's fairly easy to run that out like that. But then again, I'm not licensed, and I don't want to be responsible for burning your house down when you screw up. So you should always get a licensed guy to do it. But in my own house, I've run 220 many times on different things I had, but. You'll get there, but hey, an extension cord is a wonderful, wonderful in between. I'm excited. You're making some gorgeous knives. You're becoming such a great maker. Otis here.
Yes.
What you got going on, brother? I know you've put out another piece of Damascus you've been making.
Yeah, that's
VMAX he's holding up a template for you guys. He's going to be making
my next
one of those nice big Serbian type meat choppers. So it's going to be cool to see that come out. So Otis here, you've been getting into the Damascus game lately. Another piece I see you're making right now.
Yeah. It's on the
You're making some nice stuff there, Otis here. That's like amazing.
I was I forged 3 billets. One, unfortunately, I split. I think I went too aggressive.
Did you try any Bondo or?
I tried JB Weld. It didn't work.
JB Weld? Okay. Let's give it a try then. What you do when you finish the knife, then finish it in with that, and then acid dip it, and nobody will know the difference.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
What I do have to show you tonight is a little knife I got from our own Joey, there we go.
Oh, that's nice, man.
Nice.
Now I'm gonna tell you something, man. When you see these things in pictures is one thing, but when you have it in your hand, oh man.
And the listeners are just amazed with that. You have to describe it. You have to describe it. Paint the picture.
No. What I'm gonna say is go to Joey's page, look it up. Joey's little fat boy.
Boot State
Forge.
Forge, yes. There we go.
You know?
Very good.
Amazing little knife. Raindrop.
That's nice.
Scales were made by Sarah.
Yes.
You know, perfect fit in the hand, super comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Amazing little thing. And the sheath that comes with it, I mean, you can see is a Joey sheath just by looking at it. So amazing piece of work. I just wish he was here tonight.
That's nice.
But you know, yep. Yeah, good things.
Excellent. I've been examining your knives here for the last couple of weeks. Not ready to attempt something just yet, but I'm figuring out and getting ready to pull a trigger on something. I'm going to make a knife like Joey's here shortly. Not saying I'll emulate exactly what he does. It's a growth process, but I've been looking at yours too and the style of knives you do. And certainly now that I have a guard press and don't have to rely on a damn coat hanger, I'm sure I'll master that. Guys, you have to go back and listen to episode 50 in season 5 to know what that means.
Yes,
Don the Train Watson, I've been seeing you laying out little groups of knives. Looks like you're becoming a multi-knife maker, a bulk producer.
Well, you know,
of blades.
You gotta fill the orders, man. You know, so I'm working on
cacao.
It is not cheap.
Cacao ain't cheap.
Right. It's good, but it ain't cheap.
So what you got going on next couple weeks?
Well, I'm still got to go back over and cut trees down at my son-in-law's place.
You still cutting down trees?
He's gonna
My
cut
goodness,
about 8 more down. So, but I've been making some knives, stuff like that. And
I've seen you. You had didn't you have a picture where you had like 4 or 5 of them laid out, getting ready to with your oven or something? Or I saw something here recently.
I might have, Chip, but yeah, I'm always.
You did. You and I, neither one of us can remember 2 days ago, but yeah.
Make sure you check those trees for pearls.
I tell you what, I told I was over sweating, man. He wanted me to come over today and do it. And I said, nah, I got podcasts, man. I'll get over this weekend. And only bad thing about, because I come from the wood turning field, you know, and I never put my saw to just a nasty oak tree. Never have. I just never liked doing it. Because, you know, when you're a wood turner, you go for the tree that's going to be able to turn out some really nice stuff. So, but these trees right here are just old water oaks, and they're rotten and pine, and it's just a mess. So, but no, man, we'll get it done and get him helped out. So,
good deal. Eric?
Yes, sir.
You going to be making knives next couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah.
Got Blade Show. What table are you going to be at Blade Show?
13F.
13F.
And I am wrapping up some builds right now. Of course, tomorrow we're forging the Viking sword. I say sword, it's basically going to be about a 20-inch Viking sax, so 20-inch cutting edge. And I'm going to do that on the live stream and show people the forging of a sword live. And
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I love this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being negative, but is anybody researching actual Scandinavian, Norwegian?
Everybody.
Okay, so it has to have, because a sax just has a typical design, but you're actually making historical weapons.
So we're making historical-ish. The whole point behind this is you're going to have a few people that make in the challenge. You're going to have a few people that make very period correct, and then you're going to have people who make their interpretation of it. And then not everybody's going to make a sword. You got a couple people that are making axes. You got one that's making a helmet with the spikes and all that stuff. So you've got a few different things that are going to be made during this challenge. For me, I'm going to be making not the sax that a lot of people typically are used to seeing. where the current saxes that you see basically look like a rectangle piece of steel had a wedge cut off of it. So the cutting edge is super straight, the spine is super straight, and they have a through tang handle on them. Mine, the cutting edge will have a slight swoop up to the tip, and it's going to have a longer clip cut out of it. And I'm doing a fuller. I'm going to do runes etched into it, and
which runes? Which runes
like
are you going to choose in particular?
So it actually says the Rivers Experience on one side, and then Experience, Learn, Teach.
Okay, well, very good.
On the other side, and it'll all be in Norse runes.
47% Norwegian here, and the rest of me is English and Irish, and which basically means that I am a mutt slave dog from some Viking raid back in the 700s that went across Europe and eventually came over to North Carolina in the States. It sometime got there. So, but I do love that 43% or 47%, excuse me, Norwegian. So I can sit and claim to fame. Even though I speak a little Norwegian, I can say here's one for you guys. You ready? Fathumpa.
Yeah.
Fathumpa.
Good old fart humpa.
You know what fathumpa? Do you know what fathumpa means?
Not a clue.
Is it like speed bump or something like that?
Very good. Speed bump. Jag är kitten. I am a kitten.
There you go.
You are kidding.
So, I've got several Norwegian friends, and I'm going to be going over there this spring. And I will not be using either one of those phrases on there.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I figured out whenever I was looking up the different things is that there are absolutely a ton of different styles and different sax blades.
What kind of sex do you prefer? What kind of sex do you prefer?
Practice some safe sex anyway.
Yeah.
Are you retard? Are you retard?
The kids are at the grandparents. Now it's kind of cool because not everybody's going to make a sax. You got people that are going to actually make swords where it's double cutting edge.
Isn't that asexual? Isn't that considered asexual?
It could be.
Okay.
It definitely could be. So you've got a few different options within what they're going to be making, and I think it's going to be cool. It's going to be a variety, but I'm happy that I get to forge it out and try and do that in a live stream. It's going to be interesting. And
what if
I don't know if it's going to be easier or harder than what I forged last week, even though last week was a smaller. It's a really big blade.
Yeah.
But because this is already like 1/4 of an inch steel, as opposed to taking 5/8 of an inch thick steel and forging it down to the thickness that you want and making it even, and then forging the blade from there.
Right.
That's a pain in the butt, but I think I'll be able to get the whole sword, tang, and everything all forged.
Are you allowed to do anything? Are you allowed to do anything that's pre-Iron Age? Maybe just work like in brass or something.
Yeah, you could do all kinds of different things.
Because I could get into the challenge, I just could not do it because of the number of views in your particular group. But I was thinking about making a saxophone out of brass.
You could.
It could work.
You could, but is that? I don't know if it's spelled the same way.
You can spell it any way you want in America.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is very true.
Spelling is racist.
But I think it's going to be fun. And then the rest of my time is just spent hand sanding because I've got all the blades that I'm working on right now are already heat treated, and I just need to hand sand them and put handles on them, and then hand sand some more.
Fun times ahead. Huh?
All right. Well, let me ask. Hey, Fry Daddy, what table are you going to be at Blade Show?
5K. So y'all remember, just run over to table 5K, right? I am this weekend actually doing a Kyle Daly impression. Now I've got a couple of chef knives that I'm working on. Mm-hmm.
Chef buddies?
Yeah, I got a couple of bolstered chefs in ABL. And there's a strategy to that. It's called, if you do them right before the show, you don't have to make sheaths, right? So if I made another Bowie knife, I'd have to stop and make another dadgum sheath, right? So that's what I'm actually working on this weekend.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I would like to say that, guys, I'm sorry for all this that I've been doing on this show. I've been 2 weeks of down with this. I think it's about time to go get a steroid shot and get this finally gone. But I have taken about a 3 week. I made that last knife, traveled for a week, got sick for a week, and then took the last week off just lazy. I just need to make a sheath. So I'm going to do that tomorrow and then start on another knife before I travel again a week from Monday. I just needed a break, and Otis here said it's okay to take a break sometimes. So it made me feel good because I just kind of was a little burned out on a lot of things. So the neat thing is I'm excited to get back to it. So with that being said, man, this really has been one great show tonight. I do like this innovator spotlight, having people on like Kyle and Frankie and Frank or Kyle. I've already bought some of your stuff. I'm going to go buy some of Frankie's. I'll buy some of your stuff again later. But what a blessed show we've had tonight. And is it unique? Yeah, Kyle would have never dreamed to have something like this on his show. Oh, hush, Kyle. I encourage you guys to go out and listen to the Knife Perspective anytime you're on here, because Knife Perspective is one of the top podcasts out there as well. We love having Kyle on. Guys, questions, comments, product reviews. If you have show ideas, we want you to subscribe and email us at the Knives Templars at yahoo.com. You can also DM us on Facebook at the Knives Templar Podcast Group, or visit us at knivestemplars.com to stay up to date. We are sponsored by these great sponsors, the Rivers Experience, Redeem Steel, Knife-Wood.com, Ameribraid, Majestic Forge, Byford's Guns in Hartselle, Alabama, Pop's Knife Supplies, Maritime Knife Supply, Housemade, Phoenix Abrasives, and their Templars 10 for 10% off of your order. And if you want to, just go ahead and put in KP10 as well and get 10% off your order. One or the other is just fine. You can find us. Ameribraid 20% off parts and accessories. Availability on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts through June. And after June, Google Podcast is going away for all you folks out there. I didn't know if you know that yet, Kyle, but when you do, everything's going to go over to YouTube Music, which we're already loaded up there. And you can also find at the great Otis Sear Pinto was a visionary as well, an innovator. So, Chip, get those podcasts uploaded to regular YouTube. So if you go out to the Knives Templars on YouTube, you can find all 51 of our podcast episodes out there. You can find us at Anchor, Amazon, and Castbox. List of resources, suggested materials, and social media handles are all at the Knives Templars podcast online. Email us at the Knives Templars at yahoo.com. And with that being said, I want to thank you very much for listening to us. I want to thank Kyle and Frankie for being on the show, because they have been wonderful first guests of this new segment. You really have raised the bar to what people should do moving forward, to not only lift themselves up and tell the world what they can do in the world of knife making and forging and blacksmithing and the many things that we do, but also set an example to how to be entertaining and very informative all at the same time. With all that being said, we're 2,000, well, not quite 2,000, we're 2 hours, 17 minutes and 17 seconds in. So it's time for you guys to say
good night, everybody.
Adios. Good night, everybody.
See you next time.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions.
You ready, Otis here?
Always.
Oh, yeah.
Oinky, oinky, oinky.
You should also have like bakak bagak.
Yeah, wasn't that Dick House with Johnny Knoxville and all them?
I don't know.
Yeah. There was a Dick House, I think, that Johnny Knoxville show. What was it? The one where they jumped off the stuff and got bit by sharks and ran in shopping buggies on MTV.
Oh, what was that?
Jackass,
yeah. And at the end, they had, I think it was called Dick House, and there was a there was a rooster or something, or a chicken making a noise or something like that. Anyway, It was a good show. It is entertaining during its time. I'm surprised many of those guys aren't around anymore, but I'm surprised nobody ever died on the show. After show, guys, I've got to hack and cough for a second, so you guys talk amongst yourselves. Got this cold to get over.
One of the things that we're going to have to do on the next episode is do a Otisir rant.
It's been a little while. Yeah, we haven't had one.
Segment. I was like, where is it at? I need my Otisir conversation.
Anything pissing you off tonight, Otisir? We need some nails and barbed wire. Go for it.
No, I'm just chilling, sitting in the background, just soaking in all the information coming on. So yeah.
So it kind of has to build up like pressure in a boiler, and then you just let it on.
Yeah, let it build up until the point where it goes. You know.
All right. So nothing in the world is making you unhappy today. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Did you get your anvil moved outside yet?
No, I'll do that for my next set of billets.
Yeah, I think that you're gonna like that without forging on the wood floor.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be forging a new set probably Sunday next week. I still have to finish the one I'm working on. You know, the blade is done, is ready for heat treat. But I need to make a guard for it, so I will heat treat at the same time. I'll be working backwards this time. I ran into a little problem with my coffee etching and with my etching in general, where when everything was properly fitted and when I was sanding my handle around the guard, I was scratching the guard. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to fit everything perfectly prior to heat treat. Take everything apart. Do something like Kyle Royer does, right? He builds everything separately and dry fit and then take it apart and dry fit. And he etches everything, finish everything, and then the final assembly. And he doesn't touch it anymore. So I'm going to be trying that this time.
That'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and if you get it all to come together real nice. I have no doubt that you will, but I'm happy that you're doing those things. And now all we got to do is but you got to get something to frustrate you. So
we can have a good. Good
I put all my frustration into those 3 billets that I was working on.
Therapeutic.
Here, I do have one. So, with when it comes to the challenges that we do, we have a lot of different knife makers that use, some of the stuff that's real popular right now is like the Baker forged, the kumais with the copper, the brass. There's a lot of samais out there and things like that. And you have a lot of viewers that aren't used to how those billets are worked. There's a lot of viewers that think, well, you still forge those just like normal, forge them to profile, do all that stuff. Whenever they see fellow YouTubers who are putting themselves out there on a platform showing what they do, and they have to do so much of it through stock removal, because that's how you work a Sanmai billet. That's how you work a billet that has that's a kumai or has the brass layers in it. Because if you start forging it to profile, it's real easy to get the center core kicked off to one side or the other, and not have something that's super symmetrical whenever you're looking at the 2 different sides that have a lot of contrast in them. And they see these people break out the grinders and hit them with the 2x72s and spend a lot of time doing stock removal, and they're thinking, again, you're not making a knife unless you're forging it to profile and forging the finish. And,
of course.
But that's true. That's true, Eric.
If you're not,
it's not true.
If you're not hand forging your Damascus, you're not a real knife maker,
Right.
Oh, look at Eric's scrapping barbed wire.
Yeah. My goal is to make people understand that forging is one aspect of knife making, and I try not to be a jerk whenever I respond to people's comments, because
Yes,
I'll
you do.
comment back to these people on their YouTube videos so they don't have to comment back to them, and I try to be more educational than a jerk. But there's particular ways that we work different things to have a good end result, and whatever you do to get the end result that you're going for, that is what you had to do. So if you're going to be stock removing it, that's what gets you to the result that you're needing to get to. That not everything needs to be forged. It's just not the way that it needs to happen. And if people are annoyed by it, a lot of those stills were forged before the people got them. They had to be turned into that steel.
It's
all of our bar stock.
I ran into this issue, right? And I like to joke, you're not a real knife maker right? It's just a joke because if you're making a knife, you're a knife maker. Done. That's it, right? Now there are different, you're a knife smith. Now, knife smith is something different, right? This is what Eric does, right? He's smithing a knife, right? Hammering, all those things, bringing it to, brute the forge, finish a knife smith.
He called you a knife smith.
A knife smith.
Good old blade smithing.
Ooh, he's a blade smith. He ain't a knife smith. He's a blade smith.
Blade smith, right? And
there's two big difference between the two, Otis here.
No.
And it is the same.
If you're not forging to a zero edge, you're not a knife smith. You're a blade smith.
I see. There you go.
The thing that I tell people is what makes you a good knife maker is whenever you can take something that's a knife-shaped object and turn it into an actual knife. So you picked steel that can be heat treated, and you got a good heat treat on it, so it has good edge retention. You focused on your handle ergonomics. You focused on your edge geometry so that it is actually the right geometry for its intended use, whether it's a camp knife, a chef's knife, EDC. You're focused on sizes, or whether you're trying to make a petty knife, or whether you're trying to make a 10-inch chef, or you're trying to do different things like that. That's when you start transitioning to a knife maker. You can get to there by forging, by stock removal, by using hand files, by doing any of those things. Your big goal is making something that can hold an edge that's comfortable to use.
Yep. That's it.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky, oinky, oinky.